A turtle made it to the water.
Oh, I mean, we'll see about that. Hey guys, what's up? Mad Season here, back with another video for you. So, it's happening. Blizzard is suing Turtle WoW. If you don't know what's going on, basically there's a private server named Turtle WoW that's been running for about 7 years now. And to sum it up, it's a private server for Classic Plus, or at least the general gist of what most people think of when they say Classic Plus. It's vanilla World of Warcraft with new content added in the spirit of vanilla, much of it being half-abandoned ideas or features that the original developers had, and fully fleshed out by these independent developers. Some examples would be the survivalist profession that uses torches to light up areas. You have new races, areas, dungeons, and much, much more. And even the less flashy, but arguably even more important stuff, like actual effective anti-botting measures. They've had dozens, possibly over 100 people working on it. It's this massive community project, and it's by far the largest, most active private server for vanilla World of Warcraft at the moment. Although now it looks like all of this has been thrown into jeopardy. While they were able to fly under the radar for a while in recent years, as players fail to find what they want from vanilla from Blizzard, it's gained a lot of popularity. So much so that they've now caught the attention of Blizzard, who has now engaged in a lawsuit against the owners of Turtle WoW. And in response, at least as of this recording, they're not backing down. So this is a very hot topic right now, as in people are very emotional and mad. As usual within the MMO community, there has to always be factions, so there's like two that are going at it right now. You have the Blizzard fans who are like celebrating and taunting the private server people, and obviously there's the private server people who are understandably upset, and everyone is personally insulting each other and making unhinged comparisons relating to child abuse. You know, the usual standard with the MMO community. Before we get into this video is sponsored by Extra. So I lose my stuff all the time. My imaginary girlfriend hates it, and something I consistently lose track of because I'm stupid is my wallet. Yeah, you ever have that panic when you realize you've lost your wallet? It's almost as bad as losing the goodwill of your subscriber base after releasing level boosts after specifically stating that you wouldn't. Told you so, by the way. But thankfully, Extra has this cool finder card that shows you the location of your wallet on your iPhone, and it'll even send you a notification if you get too far away from it. It's as small as a credit card, and it fits neatly and securely in the back of your Extra card holder, along with all of your other cards. And it also has RFID blocking to prevent wireless thieves. So yeah, this has been a lifesaver, and it provides me with security and peace of mind that all of my valuables are safe and on me. So check it out today by clicking the link in the description or pinned comment, and use my promo code MadSeasonShow for 45% off your purchase. So one thing is for sure, they certainly mean business, as they have enlisted the RICO Act, that is the Racketeer, Influenced, and Corrupt Organization Act, which was initially created to take down the fucking mafia. Yeah, you've heard of the Devil Sword Mafia? Well, according to Blizzard, Turtle WoW is the mafia now. The lawsuit has also revealed the information of those running the server, but even going further, in the process of this lawsuit, there's even been some evidence of an ongoing theory of this clandestine underground group of people behind the server who have like made millions through Turtle WoW and other private servers released over the past decades. Yeah, it's pretty intense. I think first we should talk about how it came to this. Well, in essence, it was too good. This is actually kind of interesting timing, because just a few days before the lawsuit, I made a video where I commented on the private servers. People have asked me why I don't play them, and I said that they have this unfortunate trait that their quality is inversely proportional to their longevity, meaning that the better a server is, the more populated it becomes. And when that happens, it gets put onto Blizzard's radar, and eventually they get lawyers involved, and anyone familiar with Nostalrius actually will be getting some deja vu here from this whole situation. And I want to talk about this real quick since it's important for context, because there's some key similarities and differences here with this Turtle WoW situation. So for those who remember, this is similar to what happened with Nostalrius. It launched in 2015, and it wasn't Classic Plus at all. It was just plain vanilla World of Warcraft. And because Classic wasn't a thing yet, it was the only way to experience vanilla at the time. And by the time 2016 rolled around and current WoW got further and further away from what vanilla WoW was, it grew to this crazy level of popularity until eventually Blizzard caught wind of it and sent their legal team after them and got it shut down. Many people point to Nostalgia specifically as the reason why Classic even exists today, and I agree with that. Blizzard has always had this reputation of this rockstar developer mentality, and anyone who's been around for a while knows that in regards to vanilla, they were very condescending. Of course, this was widely recognized in the great "you think you do, but you don't" moment, but really that was just one of the many things that they would do to sort of dismiss vanilla fans. They simply didn't have the skills as developers to look past their own ego and recognize the wants of their player base. It's kind of like this "how dare you not like what we're making right now" mentality. Why don't you play this shit behind me? It's gonna be awesome. So, much like Nostalria's, Turtle WoW just got too popular, and they certainly knew it. They've been posting adverts everywhere, boasting 500,000 active players worldwide, with 44,000 online concurrently, which for private servers, that's crazy. They've been taking ads out on Google AdSense, something that the lawsuit specifically references, and they've been so successful, in fact, that it seems as if their hubris got the better of them, and they thought that they were untouchable, so they began to poke the bear. They started tweeting at Blizzard on social media, kind of mocking them, which leads us to today, where Blizzard has now hit back, and quite hard. So while there are similarities between Nostalrius and Turtle WoW, there are also some key differences. Probably the most major being is that Nostalrius just got a cease and desist, which is of course a warning of an incoming lawsuit should they fail to comply, while Turtle WoW is getting the actual lawsuit right out the gate. And a lot of this just has to do with the amount of money they've made and just how large of a project it is compared to Nostalrius, as we'll discuss. Second difference is that they mean business, while Nostalrius was more of this independent, smaller group of people who didn't really profit in any hugely significant way. By pulling the RICO Act, Blizzard is alleging that the defendants are members of this multinational business enterprise. They go on to say that they found a lucrative way to exploit and profit from Blizzard's IP, Warcraft, and they offer and profit from paid access to the emulated servers, as well as all the software and tools necessary to access them, including pirated copies of the game. And according to this lawsuit, they do make money on the game through this kind of loosely defined cash shop, an all but name where players can donate, and in return they receive in-game items and features and other various very useful perks. And in response, Turtle WoW is not complying. In the earlier video I referenced, some people chimed in on the comments that they're safe because they're outside of the jurisdiction of the United States, which is partly true in some ways. The owner is in Russia, and this is presumably why Blizzard is engaging the RICO Act, as it gives them more power internationally, possibly forcing cooperation with European countries. And this is where it gets really crazy. So there's this conspiracy of a person named Shenna, who is this entity within the private server community that people allege takes over private servers, leverages in cash shops against the developer's will, sells characters, gold, abuses power, and so on. So because of all of this, this person has gained a sour reputation and is generally unwelcome within the private server community, and people try to avoid servers that are under their control. Well, apparently there's this theory that this person is Torda, who is the owner of Turtle WoW, and there's a lot of suspicion that's been raised because saying this person's name in certain subreddits or discords will get you muted or banned. And how this relates to the lawsuit is that Blizzard thinks the same thing, as they themselves label Shenna and Torda as the same person. So this whole thing has been its own realm of conspiracy that's been at the heart of private servers for a very long time. It's kind of blown up the community, and it's this big controversy. And now that the lawsuit has specifically named these two people being the same person, it's just another piece of evidence and proof enough for many people. Although, to be clear here, for all intents and purposes, this is what Blizzard thinks. How they got this information isn't clear. Some people are theorizing that Blizzard is aware of the controversy surrounding this, and they're simply trying to stir the pot and sow discord among the Turtle WoW community while they sit back and watch the fireworks. Kind of like a Game of Thrones plotline, which is interesting. And on the other hand, other people believe that they have access to some sort of information private to them that has indicated that they are indeed the same person. So in essence, it's one giant clusterfuck, and while there is some truth to what people have said, that the servers themselves may be out of the jurisdiction of the US, with the RICO Act being engaged, many of the individual people named in this lawsuit aren't. And now with the Shenna and Torta link, the community as a whole will most certainly be affected in some way, whether that be through lawfare or psychological Game of Thrones warfare. But going back to the differences between Nostalrius and Turtle, another key piece of information that a lot of people are missing is that Blizzard isn't demanding Turtle WoW to destroy all data related to the private server. They want them to turn it over, which has some people thinking that maybe this was the big plan. Why develop a game that you don't understand yourself when you can get other people to do it successfully, and then you can just take their work? Holy shit. Who knows if that's true, but some people are angling that as well. But naturally, as you would expect, people are really angry because, regardless of what you think of all of the politics about all of this, the situation is this. People want Classic Plus, so much so that they're willing to go out of their way and find these private servers in order to play it. And not only has Blizzard failed to provide it, they're also now actively trying to shut down people who are. So there's this big frustration with them. And on the other side, the Blizzard side of things, people are saying that with Blizzard being this publicly traded AAA video game developer, they're legally obligated to protect their intellectual property. And if they were to allow copyright infringement and they allow these large privately run servers to run free and grow to these sizable levels of popularity, they make themselves vulnerable in a few different ways. People are asking why they just can't leave them alone and let people have fun. But for the most part, they do. There are a ton of privately run World of Warcraft servers out there, and Blizzard has let them run free for the most part for the past 20 years. That is, unless they grow big enough to be a threat to their intellectual property, either in the sense that they're actively taking a substantial amount of subscribers away, or, as mentioned in the lawsuit, by damaging their reputation by providing, quote, poor experiences, or things like being the victim of security breaches, which has happened to Turtle WoW. In 2024, they had a security breach where players had their email addresses and passwords leaked. So Blizzard is saying that this harms their reputation because people associate World of Warcraft with Blizzard, even if it's not run by them specifically. Although I'm more of the opinion that Turtle WoW more damages Blizzard's reputation by doing their jobs far better than them, but I digress. So all of this, and I'm not a lawyer here, from what I'm to understand, puts Blizzard at risk, which I know a lot of people don't care about, but again, I'm just trying to explain the why here. But regardless of all of that, I definitely understand the frustration. People want Classic Plus, Blizzard isn't providing it, and they're shutting down a server that, apparently, from everything I've heard, did it really well. I haven't played it myself, but looking at their trailers and from everything I've heard, it does look really good. But all of that being said, it's a giant clusterfuck. Something important to keep in mind here is that, as of yet, it's still unknown if Turtle WoW is actually going to be shut down. The process has simply begun, and apparently they're not complying, so we're kind of in this middle ground situation where everybody's just waiting to see what happens next as they start trying to pick off members of the team that they are able to pick off, and to see what happens with this pressure, with this conspiracy that's been brought to the forefront. Now, if you're asking my opinion, So earlier we saw someone comparing it to child abuse, so I would like to increment the counter of unhinged comparisons. Julian Assange. No, don't click off the video, I swear this is high-level IQ stuff. This guy was a gamer. He was slumming it out in some Ecuadorian embassy. He apparently let his cat shit and piss everywhere while he played World of Warcraft in the basement. The president of Ecuador literally gave him a list of chores to keep his room clean and to take care of the cat until eventually he had enough and called him a spoiled brat. Yeah, literally. And he kicked him out of the basement and told him to get a job. A true generational World of Warcraft neckbeard story. So, these situations, I admit, are slightly different. Just slightly. Maybe one is more serious than the other by a small degree, but in my very scientific reasoning is that if they can get Julian, they can get Turtle. Wow. We'll see. Maybe I'll be wrong. Who knows? But for those of you who followed the nostalgia situation, you'll remember that they actually hired private detectives to knock on the doors of the developers at odd hours of the night to serve papers.
I personally had a private investigator hired to track me down by a legal firm that represents Blizzard. He called numerous people in my life, including my employer, my owner of my company, to confirm information about me so he could serve me papers at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night, slamming and knocking on the door, freaking the crap out of my wife, and waking up my baby daughter in the next room. The amount of pressure that Blizzard put on the Nostalria's team was immense.
And that was still just cease and desist territory. Personally, I don't know the conviction of the Turtle WoW development team, but some of them are most certainly within reach of this lawsuit, and even though there may be over 100 employees, they're still going up against this multi-billion-dollar AAA video game developer that isn't afraid to use intimidation tactics to get people to comply. Successfully, I might add. And if the rumors are true, and Blizzard is working on a Classic Plus of their own, even if it is shitty, which there's a high chance that it'll be if they're surveying pet battles, they'll also have that to contend with. And some people theorize this lawsuit is happening because they're working on a Classic Plus, as it's more direct competition. Again, kind of drawing comparisons to the Nostalrius situation where they shut down Nostalrius and then released their own Classic servers. So, if you ask my prediction, I think it's probably going to get shut down, and I'd like to follow that up with the fact that I don't really have a stake in any of this. I love vanilla WoW. I don't care too much for Blizzard. I can't really say that I'm a private server guy. The most I dabbled in really was this super old school server called Phoenix like 15 years ago, and a little bit of Nostalrius, but nothing really serious, mostly because I didn't want to lose my characters when they do eventually get shut down. I think that the whole situation is pretty sad in the sense that I love vanilla WoW, so it's just another form of vanilla WoW that's possibly being removed. And regardless of all of the details and the legalities surrounding all of this, that alone sucks. I think that vanilla WoW is probably the greatest game of all time, so it's just kind of a shame, you know? It's a shame that private servers have to exist to begin with, because the people responsible for developing it think that people want to raid Gnomeregan and run incursions on a server that ends in a genre of game which very foundation is based upon it not ending. I think that's where a lot of people are really pissed off, is Blizzard hasn't been able to realize the full potential of vanilla, nor do they think that they actually can, and that's frustrating to a lot of people, and I get that. But anyways, with all that being said, wow, what a situation we have here is all I have to say. I will be keeping a close eye on it because it is rather interesting and quite important for the future of private servers. Like, this is a huge crossroads, not only for Blizzard games, but for any game, period. I feel like a lot of precedents will be set here with this case, so I will be eagerly awaiting news with it. And I suppose if it's video worthy, I'll probably make a follow-up on here. But with that, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Like it if you liked it, because I will see you in the next one. Peace.
Farewell for now, mortals. We hope you enjoyed today's video. See you again soon.